Hello, everyone. It is so great to see everybody. I am excited to tell everyone about the program One School, One Book. I am Mrs. Conley, and I'd like to introduce, this is...
And I'm Mrs. Glasgow, and I'm the reading coach here at Sandhill Elementary. Our school has decided to take part in One School, One Book this year, and our book is Toys Go Out by Emily Jenkins. So if you've never heard of One School, One Book, it's a community-wide shared reading event. Over 49 states participate, and there are over 200 books in the One School, One Book catalog. The program works like this. Every Sandhill family and all the teachers at Sandhill will receive a copy of the same book. We are going to build our community by being excited and reading about the different characters. The focus for the families is about reading together out loud. And I know it might be challenging because you might have older and younger kids, but we really want to bring everyone together. You'll be encouraged to read one chapter a week with discussion guides that will be sent home weekly. And then the students will get to have trivia questions each day at school and get their name hopefully put in to win a prize. So what is One Book, One School? We have a short video here to give you an idea of what the program is. So why read aloud? You saw that the video pointed out some reasons, and it showed that conventionally we do want students to read. We want them to be able to read on their level, but they can learn so much more when they're relaxed and they have an adult reading in front of them. So shared reading can bring you guys a sense of closeness. We really want to build a culture that shows how important reading is, and when your kids see you read, they will want to read more. One of our goals is to bring our school community together, to learn new vocabulary words. You saw that unlocking the door to the world, and also just for the biggest thing, to enjoy reading. So as we go through our story today, we're going to be talking a lot about different read aloud strategies. So one of those is ask questions while reading. If you're not sure where to start, Some things you could ask more, what do you think will happen next? Or why do you think the character felt that way? Another important read aloud strategy is to make connections during and after reading. Some things like, have you ever done something like what was in the story? How is it the same or different? What would it be like if you were in the story? Students can also make comparisons to other books they've read or characters that they've heard of. As we read our story today, Toys Meet Snow, various read aloud strategies will be modeled for you by Mrs. Conley.
So I get to read Toys Meet Snow, and some of you enjoyed this story when I read it to you as a bedtime story a couple weeks ago. So before we read Toys Meet Snow, one of the read aloud strategies that we like to do is building background. So before we read it, let's talk about some background for the story. So let's talk about some questions related to toys. So think about your favorite toys. What kind of toys do you have that are your favorites? What are they made of? Do you like to pretend that your toys go on adventures? And what type of adventures do those toys go on? I know when I was a kid, I used to have my favorite toys, and they like to go on those adventures. Get the buffalo. And also building background about the snow. What is snow made of? And what can you do when you play in that snow? And so this story is going to be about a buffalo named Lumpy. And here's my buffalo, Lumpy. So this is one of my toys, Lumpy the buffalo. And then another toy named Stingray. And Stingray is a plush toy. And then a ball named Plastic. So, and I bet every child has a ball that they like to play with, and then they're going to go on an adventure. So building background's really important to do before you read a story. And the story that we're going to be doing as our program for One School, One Book is also going to have these same characters. So we need to get to know these characters really well as we go through this. So here's our title page, Toys Meet Snow. And the author's name, and remember the author's the one that writes the book, is Emily Jenkins, and the pictures are by Paul O. Zielinski. Okay, Lumpy is a stuffed buffalo. Stingray is a plush stingray. Plastic is a rubber ball. She can't help it that her name doesn't match her body. They all belong to a little girl, but she has gone away on winter vacation. In the first snowfall of the year, it is the first snowfall of the year. Why does it decide to snow? Asked Lumpy. Because the clouds are sad and happy at the same time, says Stingray. She is more poetic than factual. No, it's what rain becomes when the temperature is freezing, says Plastic. I read about it in a book. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there for a minute, and I'm going to talk about how the characters are talking. So it talks about how Stingray is more poetic than factual. What does that mean? So, it says right there on that page, because clouds are sad and happy at the same time, says Stingray. She is more poetic than factual. Wonder what that means. So you can talk about that with your child, okay? Where does Plastic get his information from? Okay, it says, no, it's what rain becomes when the temperature is freezing, says Plastic. I read about it in a book. So where does Plastic get his information from? He gets his information from a book. And then on the page before this, Lumpy is curious and asks lots of questions. Why do you think he asks all those questions. So those are some comprehension questions that you could ask while you're reading.
These questions are key to understanding the story as we go along. They will show a pattern throughout the story with the way the characters talk. Remember, reading is not just reading words on the page, but it's also understanding what you read.
Okay. So it's really important to ask these questions while you're reading so that we're making sure we're understanding what's happening in the story. Thank you, Ms. Glasgow, for that. So we're going to move on with the story. Let's go out, says Lumpy. I'm curious. Yes, says Stingray. It's beautiful. Snow, 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 says Plastic, bouncing. I've read about it. I've never touched it. I need a hat, says Lumpy. He is often cold. I need a plastic baggie, says Stingray. She is dry clean only. Poke me some air holes. So remember when we built background at the beginning and we talked about what each one of the characters were, or what your toys were made of? And that's why that's important, because that ties into this page where Lumpy has to wear a hat. I wonder if he needs to wear a hat to cover his antlers or whatever these things are at the top. And Stingray has to get in a plastic baggie because Stingray is dry clean only. And then we're going to see what Plastic does whenever Plastic is going out. So it ties into that building background, and then you can talk to your child about what toys he or she has and what they're made out of. And if you go out in the snow or maybe go out in a rain puddle, since Florida doesn't have the snow, what their toys need to go into, or if their toys go into a mud puddle or something like that to protect them. And so with no small amount of effort, and then you can look at the pictures and see what's happening as they're going out the door. And look at all those picture clues. And picture clues is another thing that you can look at as you're reading a story. The toys go out in the snow. And here's some more picture clues. There's no words on this page, but there's picture clues as they go out into the snow. Is that a different tree? Asked Lumpy. It looks like a different tree than before the snow came. It turned into a candy tree, says Stingray. It tastes like peppermint. There's another example of the poetic words that Stingray uses. No, it's the same tree, says Plastic. I recognize the branches. What do you think snow is exactly, says Lumpy. It's a blanket of peace over the world, says Stingray. I see another example of some poetic language from Stingray. No, it's frozen water, says Plastic. I read it in a book. There's another example of Plastic reading his books. I'm having trouble seeing.
I mean, what is a snowflake? Asked Lumpy. A snowflake is a tiny ballerina, says Stingray. If you look closely, you can see it dance.
Thank you, Miss Glasgow. I appreciate that. Wow, very interesting. I like that poetic language that Stingray is using, and I love the picture clues of the snowflake dancing in the wind. No, it's just really tiny frozen water, says Plastic. I read that too. It is not easy to build a snowman. So here's another page where we're going to stop and we're going to ask some questions. Have you ever built a snowman? Why are they saying it isn't easy to build a snowman? So here they are struggling to build that snowman. So look at the picture clues and talk about why it's not easy to build that snowman. And then we're going to do a prediction. What other things do you think they will do in the snow? So you talk about your background knowledge and then talk about other things that you think they're going to do in the snow. So it's really important to connect the text with your experiences, and it's really important to make those predictions whenever you're reading that text. Snow angels are easier. I love these picture clues on this page where they have the different shapes of the snow angels. Got the lumpy snow angel, the stingray snow angel, and the plastic snow angel. Lumpy finds icicles on the fence. Stingray finds a puddle that has frozen solid. I think he's seeing his reflection. Plastic finds a forgotten sled on top of a hill. The day begins to fade. Looks like they're getting a little bit tired. What is a sunset? Asked Lumpy. It's a strawberry syrup pouring over the world to make it sweet before nightfall, explains Stingray. Plastic doesn't say anything. She is thinking. Stingray is really using some poetic language there. It's strawberry syrup pouring over the world to make it sweet before nightfall. So let's talk about that for a minute. Stingray said that the sunset is strawberry syrup pouring over the world to make it sweet before nightfall. What does Stingray mean by that? That is very poetic language. So whenever there's a sentence that doesn't really make sense at first, you really need to talk about that sentence and talk about what that sentence might mean. So kind of break it apart. The sunset, and then use the picture clues, is strawberry syrup. So what is strawberry syrup made of? Strawberry syrup, think about the colors. It's made of strawberries. And then look at the picture clues. And then it's pouring over the world. And then think about, tie that into your background knowledge, a sunset, and think about the colors of a sunset. And then put those two together. And then to make it sweet before nightfall. So strawberry syrup is sweet. And then what makes a sunset sweet? And think about that and think about what in their day was sweet and their memories. And then you talk about all those different things. So you break the sentence apart and then you tie it into that background knowledge. Brr, I'm cold, says Lumpy. My tail is wet, complains Stingray. Snow, 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 cries Plastic. I'm a strawberry syrup sun in the snow. So they're tying that back to that sentence. So if you didn't understand that sentence before, it helps you understand the sentence now. And Plastic is relating the shape of himself as the ball to the sun. And if you look at the picture clues, Plastic kind of looks like the strawberry sun. And that's pretty cool. Inside the house is dry and warm. Outside, the tiny ballerinas have made a blanket of peace over the world. The strawberry syrup sun has gone down. So there it's talking about that strawberry syrup sun again. And now they're all getting warm by this thing right here. And if you don't know what that thing is, they have those up north a lot. That's a heater. You have to have some background knowledge and have to have lived up north to know what that is. So why does the author call the sun a strawberry syrup sun? So you're kind of going back into the text and talking about that strawberry syrup sun and thinking about how they're feeling right now and how they're feeling sweet and peaceful. And there they are looking outside and thinking about their memories. So you talk about the picture and how they're feeling. They're drawing a picture of their memories. Look at those picture clues. And yes, the world is sweet. And that's the last page. So at the end of the book, you go back and you check your predictions and you talk about the favorite parts of the book, your favorite characters, your favorite events, how it made you feel, and how did you enjoy the book? Did it make you feel good inside, or did it make you want to go out and play in the snow, or maybe it brought back memories of it being too cold or something like that? So you talk about the book, or in the instance of us doing a chapter book, you would talk about the chapter and how that made you feel as you finish up the chapter. I hope you enjoyed the story, and I hope you learned some things on what to do whenever you're reading aloud. I'm going to turn it over to Miss Glasgow, and she's going to tie it up with what we're going to be talking about and what you're going to be getting when we're doing our program, One School, One Book.
Hello, as we mentioned, our book that we will be reading is called Toys Go Out, and you'll see some of those same characters on the cover of this book as well that you just saw in Toys Meet Snow. So each week we will have a discussion packet for your family to use while you're reading together. The packet will have questions, some discussion ideas, and even interactive activities to help you with your read aloud. So the next page will show you a sample of one of these discussion pages. So for each chapter, there may be 1 or 2 pages of these. So there's some highlight questions that go on this sample page with chapter 1 of Toys Go Out, and it asks some questions kind of similar to what Mrs. Conley was showing you in our read aloud. So how does the character feel? How do they react? So as we're reading, you're going to get a chance to ask and discuss some of these questions on the daily activity. It gives you some games you can play and even gives us some ideas for, at the bottom there, zooming in families and friends. So if you have technology, or you could FaceTime or do a call with somebody to get some other people outside your immediate family joining in on the fun. We will have a 6-week reading schedule for Toys Go Out. It is 6 chapters. So week 1, which will begin the week of February 22nd, one of the people at Sandhill is going to be reading the chapter for your family. We will share that link just like we're sharing out this one today. We'll be reading the very first chapter in the backpack where it is very dark, so you can start thinking about what that might be about. And then during week 2, we anticipate having the books out to all of the kids that week, making sure we have at least 1 per family. And then you'll have a schedule there for 1 chapter to read each week. Week 5, March 22nd, is the week of spring break. We do hope that you will still spend some time enjoying and reading that week, and we will have trivia questions the week we come back for week 5, and then we'll wrap up with week 6, the end of March, the beginning of April. So we are really looking forward to taking part in One School, One Book, and we can't wait to all read together and enjoy the story and enjoy each other and the discussions of them, and look forward to those coming home again March 1st about then. And until then, remember, read to them. Thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate you, and we're glad you're part of the Sandhill family.